Hello all, and welcome to the Terminus Directive. Apologies for the delay in content recently, so let's not waste any time in getting back on track. Season 2 of The Mandalorian starts tomorrow, as of recording this, so I wanted to briefly talk about the 3 items I want to see most from this season. First, we have Moff Gideon and the Darksaber. Gideon's story has been left intentionally vague, and it leaves a lot of open questions. He was allegedly executed for war crimes, so how did he survive? How did he get the Darksaber, which was last seen in the hands of Bo-Katan? I assume that Moff Gideon was responsible for a genocide on Mandalore, forcing the surviving Mandalorians to go into hiding. I think it would be really interesting to see the bombed-out ruins of Sundari, the Mandalorian capital, and sort of follow the events that led to him claiming the Mandalorian lightsaber. If Bo-Katan still lives, then perhaps she still lives there, and could offer Din Djarin and his companions some guidance on their quest to find the Jedi. Another interesting question pertaining to Moff Gideon is whether he actually can wield the Darksaber. Based on the weapon's history, I would assume that he took it from Bo-Katan in single combat, which would be an extraordinary feat. I have seen some speculation that Gideon may be a surviving Inquisitor, although I don't think there's really much evidence to support or deny these claims. He is in possession of a lightsaber, and he does have some of his men executed for interrupting him, which is a very dark side-oriented action, but I would call any claims that he is an Inquisitor to be conjecture. Dave Filoni has been quite adamant in the past that all of the Inquisitors are dead by the time of the films, but I do think it would be quite interesting for there to be survivors still operating in the shadows. We'll have to wait and see. Moving on to my second point, I'd like to learn more about Din Djarin's relationship with Death Watch. For those unaware, Death Watch was a Mandalorian terrorist group during the Clone Wars. During the flashback sequences in Season 1, we learned that a young Din was saved from a separatist attack by Mandalorian warriors wearing the Death Watch sigil. Presumably, they trained him as a foundling. Of course, Death Watch is destroyed in the final days of the Clone Wars during the siege of Mandalore, and members of the terrorist group have been seen as enemies to the rest of the clans ever since. I would be interested to know what the Mando's stance on the group is. I also think that the Death Watch connection could make for some interesting storytelling if Bo-Katan shows up as well. She was a member of a terrorist group before Maul defeated Pre Vizsla and took control. She and Din most likely have some similar ideals, and it's possible that they know one another. It certainly seems likely that he would know of her, although given that he didn't know of the Jedi's existence, this may not be the case. Finally, my third point of interest lies in the formation of the First Order. By the time of the series, the First Order will be a young nation in the unknown regions, starting to establish themselves and beginning the preparations for a war 3 decades off. I suspect that Moff Gideon is hunting the child for Palpatine, which would suggest that at the very least he is aware of the Sith Eternal currently building up on Exegol. Whether he is connected to the First Order or not is unknown. Certainly they are in hiding right now, and it seems unlikely that the leadership would allow Moff Gideon to operate within the known galaxy with such obviously identifiable forces. One would think that they would wish to keep the Imperial connection as quiet as possible. Moff Gideon and his small army of stormtroopers are definitely not subtle, and I have to question whether or not they may be a rogue Imperial remnant not in contact with the First Order. If so, the potential for Order operatives to reach out to him could make for some very interesting storytelling. Pertaining to the First Order, there is also the question of whether the ice planet shown in the first trailer is Ilum. For anyone who doesn't know, Ilum is a sacred world to the Jedi, and it's one of the places they go to get the kyber crystals that power their lightsabers. It makes sense that Din would visit here in his search for the Jedi. Star Wars canon has left a lot of breadcrumbs that, when combined, create overwhelming evidence that Ilum is the planet that will be transformed into Starkiller Base. The equatorial trench dug into the planet in Jedi Fallen Order is similar to what is seen on Starkiller. Canon galaxy maps have pointed to the system of Ilum as the starting point for the weapon. Additionally, the First Order Star Destroyers have been known to use kyber-enhanced weapons. It is almost certain that Ilum is Starkiller Base, and if Din and his companions choose to go there, I would expect there to be at least some degree of interaction with the First Order or the Imperial Remnant. Finally, before I go, I would briefly like to touch on the subject of cameos. There has been a lot of speculation regarding Ahsoka, Boba Fett, Captain Rex, Ezra Bridger, Sabine Wren, Cobb Vanth, and a host of other characters. I would say that, with the exception of Bo-Katan, who I mentioned earlier, I am cautiously optimistic about any of these characters appearing. I think it could be awesome to see any of them, but I worry that they may steal the spotlight from Din in the story that's really being told here. I'm not opposed to appearances of fan favorites, but I would like them to be unobtrusive to the overall plot. Maybe just give a character an appearance for an episode or two. Thank you for watching. Your support for the channel means the world to me, and I hope that you'll consider liking and sharing the video. Please also consider subscribing for more Star Wars and sci-fi content. Finally, let me know what you'd like to see in the upcoming season in the comments below.